Welcome, my beautiful people, to this weekend review. I'm going to go ahead and apologize right now. I'm traveling and I forgot my mic. But hopefully the audio isn't too bad and you get some value out of this video. So let me go ahead and get right into this week's question, because this week's question is also one of the challenges that we had in our business. So I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. Now, the question comes from Instagram, and it's basically how to increase occupancy rate in the last week of the month. As you know, or if you follow this channel, and especially if you follow the weekend reviews of this channel, you know that in the month of April, towards the end, it tends to be slower in terms of travel. So occupancy rate tends to drop. And I'm going to go into our occupancy rate, but let's just go into some of the strategies that we use to increase our occupancy rates when the demand is lower and we have entering the slower seasons or the slower months of the year, right? So the first thing that you should be doing and you should really understand is what are the travel patterns for your specific area. So we do a lot of analytics here at PMI, and within the analytics, we're always looking to see what are the travel trends. This is why we know, and this is why I knew going into April that the second part or second half, the latter half of April, was going to be a slower month in terms of our occupancy rates. So understanding that allows us to create a plan and a strategy to increase that. So here's some of the things that we did and some of the things that I recommend you do to increase your occupancy rates, right? The first thing is creating promotions or special offers. Now, I mentioned before, I'm not a fan of giving discounts to people when they're asking it, via the platforms, especially on Airbnb. When you have a potential guest reach out to you about your property, and they say things like, your cleaning fees are too high, or your rate's too high, or your property is above my budget, can I get a discount? For me, that's almost always a flat no. I don't do that. Those people tend to be problem children anyways. And trust me, you don't want to deal with that headache. It's been our experience that every time we gave those people discounts, we always had a bad experience, so we don't do it. But we do create promotions, especially for specific properties, and or special offers. So that's one strategy we do. Then the next thing we do, and again, it goes back to marketing. I'm a big fan, and again, if you follow this channel, and part of our business is to help hosts like yourself to market your specific property to a target audience. That's very important, that when you create your marketing plan, that it's specific to a targeted group, right? So just figure out what your target audience is and then market to them specifically. The beauty about it is that today, especially with social media and Facebook and Instagram, you can target specific groups, which makes it much better today than it did years ago when we were doing traditional marketing. The next thing is to always, or next big way to help fill up your calendar is through collaboration and or to recruit influencers, right? Now, this is a strategy that's new to us. We've been doing it for the past probably 8 months, and it has worked out really, really well. It's worked out well in several facets, right? It's worked out well in increasing our occupancy, right? And it also worked out well in increasing our followers in our social media and our YouTube channel. So by teaming up with influencers or collaborating with other hosts or collaborating with local businesses, that's a big one, right? Team up with a business that aligns with your business. So for example, for us in Fort Lauderdale, businesses that rent out boats, rent out beach equipment, tours, right? For example, for us, we teamed up with Fort Lauderdale's water taxi. So teaming up with them and collaborating with them on their marketing and cross-marketing or pollination, like we like to call it, will greatly increase your occupancy rate. And again, increases your exposure. Because at the end of the day, you should be really focusing on branding your company, right? So this collaboration will help with branding, help with marketing, and help with increase your occupancy rates. Next is really being flexible. I know some people give me pushback when I say when I mention that they should have a flexible cancellation policy. And I get it. Some of you guys don't want to do that. But when you're at the last week or the last 10 days of the month and you're below your target rates, then you have to bend. You have to be flexible. As a business owner, you always have to be flexible. You have to be able to adapt to the constantly changing market. If you don't adapt, I'm telling you right now, if you're those type of people that don't like to adapt, don't like to be flexible, that believe that what you're doing is working and will always work, then trust me when I tell you, you will be in trouble in the future. And those are the tips that we recommend to increase your occupancy rates, and those are the things that we did. But let me re-emphasize that last part, right, about adapting. Because I forgot to mention that you should also monitor, right? I mentioned about making sure you analyze travel patterns, but you should also be monitoring your business on a constant basis, right? You should be able to identify problem areas. And if you have a hard time doing that, then make sure that someone on your team has those eyes and that ear to the ground that's going to help you identify potential problems coming up in the future. Anyway, hope that was useful. If you have any questions, any comments, as I mentioned before, either list them in the comments, but most likely I'm only going to answer questions that come in through my subscribers from Instagram or those people that buy me a coffee. And again, people ask me, or if they buy me a coffee, do they have to have a question or do they have to communicate with me? The answer is no. You can buy me a coffee just to donate to the channel. By donating to this channel allows me to keep providing allows me to keep doing these videos and taking time, valuable time from my business to do this. So it's greatly appreciated, and especially for those of you in the past that have bought me a coffee. Thank you very much, and hopefully I've added value to you. Now, before I get into the actual numbers for the business, take a look at this video real quick. Again, though that Dream Vacations is our travel partner. We've had a lot of success with the cross-pollination with Dream Vacations. As a Dream Vacation advisor, one of the things that I can tell you is the add value that we provide for people that are going on vacations or looking for those hidden gems is priceless. I highly encourage you to give us a try if you're going on vacation to, especially some of the areas that we've been to, like in places in Europe. I'll mention now Italy, Spain, Portugal, and South America, specifically Colombia, anywhere in Florida, Georgia. If you're going on vacations and specifically to those areas that I just mentioned, hit us up because we've been there. We know the area. I can get you some great deals, and we can be a very good travel partner for you. Anyways, let's get into our numbers. So revenues for this month came in at $42,000, a little over $42,000. Our other income sources came in at $9,803.27. All right, booking sources. Airbnb came in number one. Booking.com came in number 2. We came in number 3. Verbal came in number 4, and then others. And in terms of revenue, split for this week, $23,530 came in from Airbnb. Booking came in at $7,950. We came in at $4,600. Verbal came in at $3,007. And others came in at $2,910. In terms of RevPAR, Oakland Palms property came in at $433. Miami Luxury came in at $310. Pompano came in at $310. Fort Lauderdale, or Lauderdale by the Sea property came in at $309. And then others came in at $104. So our average daily rate as of today, or for this past week, was $143. I wish it was $433. Our RevPAR was $96, and our occupancy rate is at 67.38%. As I mentioned, that's one of the issues that we were having this month. As you know, my goal is always to be at between 75 and 85% occupancy rate. We're below that. That's why we did a bunch of promotions. So we'll see how we finish out the month. So hopefully I can get that back up to 75%, which is my goal for every month, regardless if it's a slow season or not. I need my occupancy rate to be at least 75%. Now, people always ask me, because this has always been a sticking point. If I'm lowering my rates, right? So my RevPAR and my my average daily rate, if I'm lowering that to get to that 75%, the question is always asked, I'd rather have a lower occupancy rate and bring in the same amount of revenue with the higher rate, with the higher average daily rate. Some people think that there's less wear and tear on the house, but here's the problem. That's only if your revenue source is just your daily rate. That it shouldn't be. You should be doing multiple things. And I'm going to touch on this now because it just came to my mind, right? Here's what's very important and why I want that occupancy rate at 75%. This is why this is important, right? We get revenue from not just the average daily rate. As I just mentioned, our other source in revenues came in at, almost $10,000. And that is through upsales from our guests. In addition, these guests, when they come in, they become potential future guests. I mentioned before, and I've done other videos on this. Acquiring a customer is the hardest thing a business can do. But once you have that customer, reacquiring or keeping that customer as a reoccurring customer is much easier. So, yeah, I may have to give up some revenue in terms of average daily rate, right? In terms of the income for the rentals, I may have to give that up today, but I'm going to make that up tomorrow, right? Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, then ask that question, because that is extremely important, because I hear it all the time. Oh, you're reducing your rates. So, but my rates, the revenue that I'll make monthly is the same as your revenue, except my occupancy rate is lower. But they're missing out on the fact that I get additional income from these people through upsales, and they definitely miss out on the fact that they just lost. So if you're at 50% and I'm at 75%, I got 25% more in terms of customer acquisition than they did, and I have the potential of having additional income, additional revenue, additional potential guests in the future that they don't, because they never touched that person. Hope that makes sense, right? Okay, so in terms of project progress, nothing new to report in terms of our staffing. A couple of things that, as I mentioned before, this month has been crazy in terms of travel. follow my YouTube channel and my Instagram. There's going to be a lot of content coming out about properties in Puerto Rico, in Colombia, specifically Medellin, and in Villaleva, which is a small town a couple of hours outside of Bogota, which is where I'm at today. Some very awesome, unique short-term rentals that we're going to be featuring in the near future. So do me a big favor, subscribe, like, follow, share these videos. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.